Says the Torah at the end of Parshas Chayei-Sara that Avraham Avinu died and he was buried by his two sons Yitzchak and Yishmael. Yitzchak comes first in the pasuk, and Chazal famously say from here we can see that Yishmael did tshuva because Yishmael repented by letting Yitzchak go first. Yishmael was the older son. He could have stood for his right and said, "I'm the older son, I'm going to go first," but he let Yitzchak go first. This is a sign. This shows that Yishmael did tshuva. Many years earlier, Avram had to banish him from the home because of his bad behavior, and now we see that he did tshuva. Rav Shimon Schwab, in Mayim Beis Sheva, asked the question. We know in Parshas Vayera by the Akedas Yitzchak, it says that Avram took Yitzchak and he took his two lads with him. Shtei Na'ara. Who are the two lads? Rashi says, and it's Chazal. Rashi says that it's Yishmael and Eliezer. So Yishmael's back home. How did Yishmael get back home? He did tshuva. Obviously he did tshuva. How did Avram take him back home? Only because he did tshuva, and he was next to Avram Avinu, one of the pivotal moments by Akedas Yitzchak. So why did Chazal wait until this moment to say here? Because Yitzchak went, Yishmael was first. Few steps before Yishmael, Yitzchak allowed Yitzchak to go a few steps earlier. Oh, here he did tshuva. Why didn't we say it back there in Parshas Vayera where it was clear that Avram already accepted him back into his home? So the first, Rav Schwab says, many people want to show in front of their father that they did tshuva, they turned a new leaf, they're a good boy, they want to gain the respect and the grace of their parents, so they show that they're being good. But now it's after his death, after Avram's death, now is the real sign. Now it's the real test that you really do tshuva or not. But then in the sex, so that's why over here the Chazal wait to prove that he did tshuva until this moment. But then Rav Schwab continues, and he says, I think that the pshat is a little deeper. But in order to understand the words of Rav Schwab, I want to first bring your attention to the words of Rabbeinu Yoina. Rabbeinu Yoina says in the Sha'ar Rishon, very famously, he gives a list of midos that a person has to work on himself if he wants to come to tshuva. The 7th and the 8th are both connected with the word kniya. The first is kniya b'chol leiv, and the second is achna b'maisav. A person has to humble himself in his heart, and then the 8th is a person must humble himself in his actions. So what does it mean to humble himself in his heart? So Rabbeinu Yoina brings an example, and he says, the pasuk says, in Binshlei rum einayim u'rechav leiv, niyu yishayim chatas. Having raising eyes, it means showing one's showing that he's so great by lifting his eyes. Or rechav leiv, in a negative sense, a wide heart, showing how great he is. Those two things are near Rishayim Chatas, is the plowed field that there we can sow seeds of, the Rasha sows there seeds of sin. What does it mean? So the Rabbeinu Yoina says it means that by having this feelings of gaiva in one's heart, when a person feels that he's so great and he's so amazing, that in itself is a cause for so many bad results, so many bad things come out of that, so many bad sins and so many bad choices, very poor choices come out of a person who has these feelings. The opposite of being humble. When a person is humble, he fills up those canals, those holes, those fields that he plowed in order to sow the seeds of sin. He has to fill that up with being humble. And by a person feeling humble and humbling himself, that's how he can avoid all of those pitfalls. So the first step in doing tshuva is getting rid of the feelings of gaiva, getting rid of the feelings of feeling that I'm so great and I'm so amazing, and replacing that with humility. By replacing that with humility, that's the first step to tshuva. Not the first, the 7th. It's one of the steps toward tshuva. And then a person will naturally start speaking differently, he'll start thinking differently about other people, and it will save him from a lot of pitfalls, a lot of sin. And then the Shmini is the Achna b'maisav. He has to actually, by his actions, show that he's acting with humility. For example, he should talk in a way that humble people speak, and he should dress in a way of humility. He doesn't have to dress in such a great way. He should dress in a piece of, in a manner of showing his showing his humility. So says Rav Schwab, the fact that Yishmael came home and he was in the house of Avram, okay, so he showed that he changed his ways, but how do we know that that's a lasting change? We know that's a lasting change when he can prove and he can show his humility. How does he show humility? Very subtly. That they're going now to bury Avram Avinu. Now there's two people walking, and Yishmael's the older son. And he looks around and all the crowds are there. It's a big funeral. And Yishmael says, you know what, Yitzchak, I'm the older son, but you're the more worthy son. And I know that Avram would have wanted you to go first, and I want you to go first. It's a very subtle point, but it shows that the tshuva that he did, perhaps he did it already many years before, but now Chazal say, here you can see it. By his action, by showing the achniya, like Rabbi Yana says, by showing that he's ready to lower himself and to humble himself in front of his younger brother, in front of Yitzchak, that's the sign, and that's the sign that Yishmael did proper tshuva. That's the sign that Yishmael really returned, and he's not, and it was a lasting tshuva, and it was a real tshuva, and it was a sincere tshuva. Good Shabbos. Please don't forget to subscribe. You'll get the video every week by subscribing. Put a like. Thank you very much. Good Shabbos.